everyone. So as you can tell, this is a review between the 5 Feet Apart book and movie. The first half will be spoiler free, and then I'll warn you, and then we'll get down to the nitty gritty. But I did read 5 Feet Apart before going to see the movie. I was interested at first because I saw the movie trailer originally, and then I saw that it was a book, and then I was less excited because I saw that the book was being written after the movie was released, and that just kind of turned me off a little bit, and for good reason. I'm gonna be very blunt about this. This is one of the worst books I've read in a really long time. It was just really cheesy. It's really short. I read it in less than 2 or 3 hours, I think. 276 pages. And when I was done, I said, well, there's 2 hours I'm never getting back. Just kind of felt like middle school fan fiction, I guess. I don't know. I really wanted to like it because it reminded me of The Fault in Our Stars, which was one of my favorite books when I was in high school. And it just... So, one of the reasons, like, spoiler-free why I didn't like it, it just wasn't the best writing. It wasn't the story at all that I didn't like, because I was really intrigued by the story. I liked the idea, you know, of the two people. Like I said in my Grisha Gush video, I'm a big romance sap. I will fall for that trope anytime it ever gets used. And that was one of the reasons I was really excited to read this, because it just seemed like, you know, good young adult romance, and it just, I was not a fan. So overall, I liked the plot of this story. Basically what happens is there's a girl named Stella who is in the hospital for CF. Her and her best friend Poe have been doing treatments together and being at the hospital for, I don't know, a decade or so. And a new person with cystic fibrosis moves into the hospital to receive his treatments, and he has a very extensive infection, I guess, called B. cepacia, which is even more fatal than regular cystic fibrosis, I guess. And it's basically just the story of the interaction between these three. I don't want to say a whole lot more without giving a whole lot away. I was really intrigued by that, especially because the romance does get involved. But other than that, like, the pacing in this book was really weird. It felt like things would either just happen too slow, or there would be too much time in between things that wasn't explained, and I don't know. The movie was a lot better than the book, in my opinion. I loved Haley Lee Richardson and Cole Sprouse and Moises Arias' character. It's just the book was, you could tell that it came after the movie. It was very cheesy, not the best writing. Like I said, there wasn't enough breaking of the character, I feel like, because this is a story, you know, where all 3 of your main characters have a fatal disease. 2 of them fall in love, and things happen that really could just destroy a character, and I didn't feel that in the book. In the movie, however, I did, but the book, the translation was just not there. It wasn't well adapted, I don't think. For a quick movie review, it was good. It was still really cheesy, but the acting between Haley Lee Richardson and Cole Sprouse was just, it hit me right in my Sweet Life of Zack and Cody days in my heart, so that was nice. But the movie was a lot more fun to watch. I felt like Haley really showed the breaking of her character Stella, and I felt like Stella was a really relatable character, even though she was going through cystic fibrosis, which is something obviously I've never had to deal with. And I felt like Cole's character Will was a very real character. His translation in the book, I hated him in the very beginning, which it might have been what they were going for, but it wasn't the character that I hated, it was the way they were writing him. So, I don't know, book grade, like a D. Movie grade, like a B. Solid B. But now we're gonna go into spoilers and explain there are some differences between the book and the movie that I didn't want to touch on too much before. There's dog hair floating. Before getting into the spoilery part of the video. So if you don't want spoilers, click out. If you don't care, keep watching. But the biggest thing that that I liked about the book more than the movie was that they added in, so Stella's parents were divorced, but in the book and the movie, but in the book it touched on it a lot more and was like, it explained how her parents were dealing with everything, whereas in the movie they left that out. But I think it works that way because that's just a difference between the two story genre telling abilities, I guess. Movies, it's easier to focus on one plot, whereas books, they can go a lot of different ways because length can vary, whereas movies you have to kind of try to make everything work within, you know, like an allotted 2-hour period. So I was kind of glad that they left it out. They touched on it just enough for it to make sense, and then at the end when they kind of the parents started to kind of like come back around to each other, like you noticed it enough to where it didn't take away from the plot, but you saw it and you're like, oh yeah, that makes me feel better as you were watching the movie. And then they didn't do a whole lot of background on Poe's character in the movie. You just knew that his parents weren't close and that he had broken up with his boyfriend, and in the book they go on to talk about how his parents were from Colombia and they had moved back and he wasn't able to go with them because he had been born in the United States. So he was receiving care for a really terrible disease on his own while his parents were back in another country, and they touched more on that in the book, which I liked that they were expanding on those moments in the book. It was just the writing wasn't well, it was just that the writing wasn't that great. They added an ending in the book that wasn't in the movie, and it's after Stella gets her lungs and after Will leaves that they meet up in the airport, and that doesn't happen in the movie, and I didn't see why it was necessary to add it into the book because it felt unnecessary. I thought that the movie ended really well because the movie ends with Stella posting to her YouTube channel that, you know, touch is really important, and that's something that they didn't get as characters. Like her and Will in their romance never, like, they got to hold hands a couple times when they had gloves on, but they had to make sure that they were 5 to 6 feet apart. They never had any skin-to-skin contact, no kissing, no hugging, no anything. And she talks about how you don't realize how important touch is until you can't have it from the person who means the most to you. And I thought that was a really solid ending because they used that same monologue in the very beginning of the movie, and then they carried it and she said it at the very end of the movie, and I just thought that was like I felt very complete and whole after that, and it didn't, like, I just was like, I left satisfied. Whereas the book, they meet up in the airport and they stand 5 feet apart, and I was like, okay, so does this mean that there's more? Like, do they get back together? Because it just didn't make sense for them to end up together as much as you wanted them to. But, you know, Will had a lot less time in his life expectancy, and, you know, Stella had gotten new lungs, so she had 5 years. Will probably had a lot less, and he was even more of a danger to her after she got her lungs. So I was confused as to why that was added into the book, because it didn't leave me feeling whole and complete, which, I mean, books don't have to do that, but I did not like the way it made me feel at the end of the book. So there was weird translations between the two, and that's one of the reasons why I hate when movies get turned into books. Not necessarily so much when books get turned into movies, but that's a whole other topic on its own. But I don't know, the movie was really good. I really did enjoy it. I have some thoughts from my friend Alyssa, who went and saw it with me. She was able to get like the perspective on the movie without having read the book, because I read the book but she didn't, and she also had some really good insight as well because she's been in and out of hospitals for a lot of her life, so like that was super interesting, and I will put that footage in right now.
So we just watched like the saddest movie of all time, but like it wasn't sad also at the I don't know. We just watched 5 Feet Apart. I read the book. before we went and saw it. Alyssa did not, so I just wanted to get her input on the movie.
I thought it was like really good. It does have some cheesy parts in it though.
Oh yeah, the book was super cheesy, so that didn't surprise me too
But
much.
like I liked it. I just like from my personal experience, like I've been in and out of hospitals and everything, so like kind of hit it a little too close to home. But like for the most part, it was like super cute, and like the ending like is devastating, but like you understand why they have to do
That's
it.
like, I think that's why I liked it so much, because it's sad, but like it makes sense. I don't know, should we give it away? We'll put spoilers in here, hey?
Yeah, spoiler.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, like, I loved the two actors and actresses, and I'm really glad that the book came out after the movie, because, like I told you, the book is super cheesy, and I did not like it at all. So, like, I saw the previews for this, was super excited to see the movie, and then I found out there was a book, so I was like, hell yeah, I gotta read the book, and then I read the book, and I was like, this is absolutely horrendous. Like, I wanted to like the book, and it just literally felt like a 12th grader was writing fan fiction the entire time, and it was just, I just couldn't, it was hard to read. I got it done in a night, but
I thought the movie was okay.
yeah, I think it transferred really well. I just think there was bad translation between the book and the movie, but the movie was super cute, and it made
And
me
it's
cry.
got Cole Sprouse, so like
The whole reason I wanted to see this movie was specifically because of him. So, but now we're gonna go bop around on Alpine and see what we can do. So, we'll be back.
But overall, yeah, the comparing of the two, the book was not good. The movie was recommendable. It's not the best thing you'll see, but I firmly believe that that was not on the acting part. There was a part in the movie where Stella gets really upset, understandably, and Haley's acting in that entire scene and sequence was just unreal. So that part had me crying, but it was a fun movie to watch. It was like a feel-good movie. It was a sad movie. It kind of gave you everything you were expecting in like a teenage hospital romance. It did harken back to The Fault in Our Stars, but I don't think it was as good as The Fault in Our Stars. So I guess that's my hot take on that. If you've read the book and you like it, let me know. Don't hate me because I didn't like it. I just felt like I was reading a 12-year-old's fan fiction. It just, especially like the first chapter where we meet Will and he's talking and it's his inner monologue, it was just, it was painful to read. So that is all I have to say on that. Hope you guys have a good weekend. I do have all my videos scheduled for next week that I'm super excited about. You guys are gonna meet my dog for the first time, so that's super cool. She's sleeping in my lap right now, otherwise I'd show her to you. But we've got that to look forward to, and I'm really excited to see you guys on Monday. So you know the drill. Drop a comment, subscribe, like, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I will link that all down below at Molly Lou Mellon. And thanks for hanging out with me. Bye.